phone giving a child when growing up, apart from communication aspects or open to learning, that we really do them good in their future?
Yes. What it does to them, for me, it broadens their horizon. It makes them think, better.
Okay.
It gives them more insight to issues. It makes them think faster. It even makes them think faster than their teachers. What their teachers can see, they can, because they have browsed them, perhaps they have more information, more access to some of those information that their teachers don't have access to. So it's good. Nobody is disputing the fact that going online, we are all gaining from it. We know what it does for us. So it's a good thing. We're just talking about parents should be on guard to control the children so that they don't go into sites that will bring.
The world is changing and very fast too. The environment is now automated and technology is revolutionizing how we live and relate. Distance, in most cases, is no longer a barrier as the advancement in global telecommunications technology has cut through space and time, making interactions far easier and making what we deemed impossible easily accessible. But while this GSM and the social media has social interaction, their misapplications have huge negative implications, especially on children and young adults. What are these dangerous effects of the misuse of the GSM phone and social media, especially on the adolescents? And what constitutes the responsible use of the phone? These are more our focus on the conversation. I am Beatrice Okimbale. Welcome. We will be discussing the advanced implication of this unrestrained exposure to social media among Nigerian children. And I have with me a media practitioner in person of Mrs. Grace Ayoyenikon. It's good to have you here, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me, how has GSM affect the communication of the child?
Well, I will start by saying, the advent of GSM, or you call it mobile phone, it's been a major concern for parents of recent, because the way we have exposed children to the usage of the telephone, which we know that this wasn't the case before now. When it was just the landline, it was, and everybody could use it. Now there was no issue. But with the advent of GSM, and if it were only meant for calls, we will not be, discussing this today. But it's more like it's a globe that we have been told that the world is a global village that has now been reduced into, the telephone. So everything about the world is now exists in that small, little handset you call the telephone. So all information is there. Everything, anything you can imagine is now, is in the telephone. So when you expose children to the telephone, what it means is that you are exposing them to the whole world. So that's about it.
In what way has it improved their communication at home compared to then when it was not rampant?
Okay. Yes. When, of course, you could tell that before, not all homes have access to even the landline telephone, but now every home has a telephone, and it has improved their way of life. The children you can actually leave the children at home and communicate with them while you are away. You can give them instructions as to what they can do while you are away. Unlike, you are away and the children are either in school, whoever is picking them up, or when they get home, you can pass instructions to the children through the telephone, okay? Which is what we consider as maybe the advantage of the children having the telephone. And I wouldn't say, for me, I would prefer you have a phone at home, the one you keep, not the one they possess.
Not a personal
not a personal telephone
for the
children. Them. Yes,
okay.
The one they have, you can call the house phone. That is kept somewhere, that when they are back from school, everybody can have access to it to make calls to parents as to what would they eat or how to do their house chores and all that. All of that can be explained while using the telephone, which has also made life easy, especially for we mothers. It has made life easy for us to be able to communicate with the children and all that. And there are occasions where you even have occasion to talk to them, even in school, not through their phone, maybe through the teacher's phone, their classroom teachers. If you have anything you intend to pass across to them, you can call them and you'll be able to pass your message across. So it has quite...
Okay, so GSM has quite brought a great improvement in aspects of communication between, the parent and the children. Yes. That's impressive. But it has been observed that the advent of the ICT, the introduction of the ICT is having positive effects, or the social media, as if having a positive effect on the child.
Yes, one can say that having a, because I was going to wait till you ask that, if, because if you're going to talk about the telephone, fine, it could just be to make up, but that's just not all what the telephone does. Like I said earlier, it's a whole, it's almost like a whole world in a small, handset now, where they can access so much information and all that. So you can say that it has its own advantage, having the children to either be on social media, or maybe you call it being exposed to so much information. One of the advantage I would say is they have access to information. Children can access information for their school work, and a lot of them have access to AI now through the telephone. Yes, so it helps them in their schoolwork. It helps them to read, and it also improves their learning skills. They are more exposed to information such that they have broader minds. They think better. Even I remember when we were in secondary school, the way they think now compared to the way we were thinking is quite different. Yes, because they are exposed to a whole lot of information, even the things that an adult don't know. Some of these children, they have access to them. So really it has helped them. They have more information than we had during our time. So you can say it's an advantage for them. Okay, so
does it give them a positive advantage in the area of their education level?
Yes, like I just mentioned, yes, they have access to information, like for their homework, or to read and do research for, some of the things they teach them in school. They learn them better even when they go online. They have, other perspective to what they are teaching them in school. They can browse for other perspective to the same topic, even as what the teacher is teaching them in school. They can now browse further and do more research, and that helps them, gives them a broader view of those topics. I can use my daughter as an example. She does a lot of browsing, which I monitor. I monitor that. I don't give her, of course, she doesn't even have her own phone. Because that's our principle in the house. Until you finish your secondary school, you don't have access to phone. And that's the way we feel we should control use of phone, because of course, the negative aspect. I know we are still going to get to that. But so far, positively, it has really given them so much, information has been exposed to these children, far more than what we had in our time. And when you hear them speak, you know that truly they have information about their subjects in school and about their environment. A lot of them have information about what's going on in other parts of the world, things that you are not even exposed to. They will tell you, and that's a plus for them. So I think it's good.
So that's amazing. So as a mother, like you said, at what age did you think a child should have access to a phone or to social media generally?
Okay. Like I told you, I mentioned that I use my own house as an example.
Yes.
We decided that our children will have no access to phone of their own until they are done with their secondary education. And why we did that was because we wanted them to be focused. We didn't want them to be distracted at all, because one of the disadvantages of giving children early telephones, or maybe Android phone, it distracts them. It makes them lose complete focus from their education. And we didn't want that. So we wanted them to be fully focused. But when they have need for it, I have a phone, my husband has a phone. So what we do, we give them. And we sometimes say, come and sit down here and use it, so that I can monitor whoever is using and see if it's the homework. I will even help you. I could tell you we could do it together, or I will just be there to watch what they do. Because sometimes they can spend 2 hours on one homework and I'm ready to stay. That's the sacrifices sometimes I make, so that we can monitor what they browse. We can monitor the kind of sites they open. And it is my phone. And once that is done, I collect my phone. So they don't really have the personal phone until when they are done with their WAEC, and one of the criteria is that you clear your WAEC, we take you to the market and get you a phone.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
So you're saying it's advisable for all parents to ensure that their child have a phone maybe after the
secondary school. They
Okay.
can have access to phone, but they will not own one.
Okay.
They can use either the father's phone or the mother's phone. That is one way to regulate them. You understand? Way to regulate them. So you cannot say they will not use phone, because sometimes most of the schools these days, everything is online. So they give them homework on their chats. I don't know what they call it. The
WhatsApp group.
Yes, WhatsApp group, chats and all that. So but when they come, it is my number, I gave it to the school. So anything they want to send, it is on my phone. If they have assignments, send it to me. So it is on my phone. She will do all the homework and we send back.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean she doesn't have access to information, or she does. She browses using my phone and all that. But when it is, like I said, she doesn't own a phone, because I believe that giving her a phone is going to distract her, and I will not have 100% control over that, because I will not always be with her when she has the phone. But my phone, I have control over my phone.
So, okay, for a child that owns a phone personally, is it advisable for them to go to school with a phone?
Of course.
Because I'm sure that some of those children, they own phones, a personal phone, maybe like those far away parents.
Yes.
They are always not available. So because of that, there are reasons some children have phones earlier, just like one I mentioned now. So because of that, maybe they have their own personal phone so that they can reach out to them very and good communication system. Okay. So, but is it advisable for them to go to school with a phone? Because once they affect their education,
like
or
you
learning.
just mentioned. In fact, some schools don't allow it. Most schools don't allow children to bring. It is seen.
I think those schools, new schools now
they do.
Yes.
Well,
this
I'm not aware of any school that will allow a child to bring a phone to school, because every reasonable parent know, or even a teacher, or even a proprietress know that phones are distractions to children. When they are at home, we consider it even a distraction, not to talk of when they are now in school. Yes, and it is not allowed. So I cannot imagine, for whatsoever reason, for any parent to give a phone to a child to take to school. It's seen as a contraband in school, because they don't even have what it takes to exercise control over some of the informations that they're exposed to. That's why it has to be within the purview of the parent to be able to manage them properly and control them. But when they are in school, and not only will they bring the phone to school, the other children who do not have phones in their home will join them and start to browse sites that ordinarily they should not browse. So it's really not advisable at all. It doesn't have any positive side to it. It should not be encouraged.
Okay, so what should I do to those children that secretly put it, even though it's contraband in school, some secretly put it? Because when I was in school, I know some of my mates that will secretly
of course,
bring.
You cannot rule that fact out, that children will always be children.
Exactly.
Of course,
So
they are the ones that are deviants who will always disobey either parents or sneak phone into their school bag and take to school.
Yes.
You can't rule that out. It does happen. But we are saying that for the fact that you are sneaking the phone and you are bringing it secretly shows that it is not acceptable. So if you are caught, be sure that the right punishment will be given to that child. So it's not advisable. Societal-wise, it's not advisable.
So let's move to the social media space.
Okay.
Should children, the parents rather, should they monitor the sites or websites that the children browse on? Because you said some of information comes from those websites that they get learning skills, do their assignments, even for academic work. So what do you think? Should all the sites and websites they browse should all be monitored? Because if you ask a child, Mom, give me your phone, I want to do my assignment, they will just give it to you.
Exactly.
They will not know the sites that
they are going to browse.
She's going. Even she might find the answer there, but some sites might not have. It's not all the information that the children, the child should be exposed to.
Exactly.
So don't you think that they should, which sites, which kind of assignment do you want to do? Let me do that. Don't you think that's advisable? What do you think about that?
And that's where control comes in. Like I said, social media space is for both good and for bad. There are so many good things that you can actually, benefit from browsing social media. So many.
Yes.
information-wise. Even people go to school online now. There's so much information in the social media space, and also it has its own negative, side to it. And the negative side has also so many sites that needs parental guidance, or you say control, for children to browse. I know that there are some sites that ordinarily even pop up on their own, even without you browsing them.
Exactly.
And that's where the parental control comes. You don't just leave a phone for a teenager. Let me give an example. And then you go to sleep. You monitor. If you don't monitor, even after that assignment, the child will browse other sites. They will browse other sites. I sit down with my daughter. Even when I'm sleepy, I will sit down there, because I know her. She's likely to finish the homework, and then she goes into other sites and begin to check other, it could be cartoon, it could be anything. And those ones, I consider it as distraction for her. Okay. So I'll just, when you are done, please let me have my phone. So I'll be there watching until I don't know how many parents have such time to sit down with their children and monitor them to see that, they exercise that control over the kind of sites they browse. It's quite difficult, because it's not something we are all used to. We are all learning the process.
Exactly.
It's a new phenomenon for us. So we are learning the process of how to, exercise control over some of these things as they come. Because even for we parents, we are becoming overwhelmed. Some parents are becoming overwhelmed. When they come back from work, they are tired. Is it then they will sit down with a child and begin to know which site you browse or not? Not all parents have that time, but exactly. For those of us who have the time, we can create that time for them and ensure that we help them. Because it's truly we are helping them. Because there's many sites that when these children are exposed to those sites, at the end of the day, it leaves this kind of indelible, impression upon them, and from there they form certain characters that later in life you will not know where it came from. So it's better early enough you cut down on such site, because really it's what they see. Children walk and do things based on what they see more than even what you tell them. Yes. So it's better they don't even see. As much as you can prevent them, please do. It will help.
Okay.
Yes, it will.
Oh, so does the social media, or all the informations they receive on sites, everything, both the good and the bad, or generally, does it affect their upbringing, or how well does it affect their upbringing? What they reflect on later in future?
When a child is constantly exposed to some of those unhealthy sites, online, it's a gradual process. It's not going to be a one-day thing. It forms their opinion over time. And if you're not careful, it overrides even the home training. Because social media space is quite very, very influential. So yes, so it will override the home training, and that child begins to have a certain, what will I call it now? It will begin to have certain opinion about life, different from what he's been taught in the house. And the danger is that most parents will not notice it. I know children, they pretend a lot. Even when they are learning those things, they will not tell you. You will not even know with times. When they get to school or other places where they are with their peers, that's when you now begin to see those manifestations. So it is better, and at early stage, do not allow it at all. Because I browse the internet and I know what is out there. Sometimes, even for adults, there are times there are some sites you run away from, because you know that this one will pollute you. You just run away from them. So, not to talk of children, and they don't know how to separate. Adults can, but they can't separate. And that's why for us, we have decided that when they are out of secondary school, we can now sit down and talk. We can now talk as to educate them. Parents need to educate their children. That's the truth. The parents need to work on their children. Even when a child finishes secondary school and you want to hand over a phone to a child, you sit the child down and educate the child as to the danger of social media. In fact, you have to start with the danger before you talk about the things that are positive. Let the child know, so that they will be on guard to know the kind of sites they browse and the ones that they cannot browse.
That's fantastic. I've been having an amazing time. So many children no longer read books. They don't carry the books. So mostly they prefer reading their school's textbook online. What are the implications of this on learning? Do you think the one with the book or the one with the online is more better? Or what's the implication on this online? Because I know sometimes they will tell you, go and read your book at home. And we always have textbooks for all subjects growing up. And it's those textbooks, when reading, there are different ways we read. For me, I'll say that, I prefer what I see. So I will prefer textbook than online because I will be distracted. When reading from my phone, before you know, I can move to another site. I can just move to another app. Yeah? And my intention was I want to read. But if I'm reading for my book, my textbook, because that's the only thing available, I will concentrate. So does it think, and it has effects on my learning. So if I do more of online reading,
you read less.
I will read less. I will understand less. But if I do more of the textbook reading, you know, I will understand more, and I will be able to read wide and broad. So doesn't it have effects on their learning? I do think
of course it has effects on their learning. Me, I always, of course, we are not yet there yet in Nigeria to say everything about us is now digital. Everything about us is not fully digitalized. You know, Nigeria is still evolving when it comes to internet space. We are still evolving, and you know, some parents, they just want to, you know, they're just doing the whole thing and making it look like there is no. We still have the conventional way of learning, which is you have your textbook, pay for textbooks in school, we buy those things. No, everybody wants, they want their children to be computer literate, they want their children to be digitalized. Everybody's talking about the ICT. We're all talking about, okay, we want our children to be what do you call it now? Is it computer literate and all that? They don't want their children to be left behind.
Exactly.
Yeah, they want them to be, you know, to be trending like every other, you know. But this thing takes time. But I see some parents, they do it, you know. Life is step by step. In fact, when you're raising children, these things are step. You introduce them gradually to it, and especially it's as they grow and they become mature that you expose them gradually until they are fully involved. But some parents, you know, what we see, even in churches, they come to church, the Bible in their hand is the online Bible.
Exactly.
Children are bringing online Bible. Everything about them is now digitalized. So those who do not have now, they are considered as, you know, backward. They are, you know, but it's not always that. Because just like you pointed out, when some parents are, you know, giving their children or promoting and encouraging their children to do online learning, it's not as if it's bad. It can really be helpful. But you don't tell a child to read online. Like, that child will not read. He will just pretend like he's reading. Before you know, they've left that particular thing they are trying to, even doing research. Some of them, they tell you they want to do some research, but they've gone far, you know, browsing other sites. You read better when you read with your notebooks and your textbooks, physical, hard copy. You know, you read better.
Exactly.
So let's not deceive ourselves. That's when you read and you gain. But when you go online, you read less and you do more of browsing and you get distracted. And at the end of the day, your result will tell.
Exactly.
Your result will tell. You know, most parents, the result of the children will eventually tell. When you compare children who take time to sit down to read their books and those who are always online, WAEC will tell the difference at the end of the day. It will tell the difference.
Yeah,
so it's always better. Let your children, even as they grow, they will definitely still be exposed to this social media life. They will definitely be exposed. So, but some of them feel that, oh, let's start it early. Let's teach them early. Children are not like that. They cannot, you can't just, if you give them, you know, if you try to, you know, give them the advantage, they will take it further. Children will take it further. And by the time they get to a certain stage, you will not be able to control them. So it's better if do it gradually. Make it gradual. They can do their homework research online and still come back and write in their notebook as they give them in school. No school gives online textbooks.
Yes.
No school gives, because the school is still expecting you to read your book. No school gives or give a child any online textbooks. They still give lists of books that the school will sell to you. They are all hard copies. So why go online? You can only go online when you want to compare. Maybe you read from your textbook and then you compare with what it is that is you want to, maybe you want to improve on what the teacher has told you, just to enhance your own reading, which is fine. And that one comes at maybe when you're now in SS1, SS2, SS3, you can manage, you know, what you see. And then with parental supervision, without which a lot of times they veer off and then they get distracted. They won't focus. Personally, I don't. I have 2 children that are in the university, and I have one daughter in secondary school. I'm just on her. Just the way it's the same formula I use for them, although it may be slightly different because of character trait. But
Yes.
I will go through the same process. If it had worked for me in the first, it worked for me in the second. There's no reason why it will not work. It's very painful to their flesh. They don't like it, but we stick to it because it's better for us. At the end of the day, everybody is happy. So I stick to what I know is best for them. We focus on your textbooks. Then, if you need anything, come to me. I will give you. We check it together. Okay, you copy it and then go and do your homework. Finish and go and submit to school. Then, I take back my phone. So I don't give them that opportunity for them to sit down and begin to browse other sites. But now that they have their phone, we've taught them what it is. So they are careful what they watch. The other ones, they know what to browse and what not to browse. It's healthy for them.
Okay, so pertaining to the character traits, in the aspect of concentration and assimilation, some people's character, just like the way I told that, I will concentrate more if I'm using textbook. But some people felt that both textbook or online, they are good with it. They can assimilate even if it's online textbook. So in that kind of aspect, according to your character, so what do you think should be done in that place?
Well,
in just 1 minute.
Like I said, some parents have different way of raising their children. Maybe what works for me may not work for others. So my own is just that parents should exercise caution over their children, whether they are on social media. If they can, let them put a lot of parental control, and they should be there with their children. When a child is saying you're learning online, don't just allow the child to continue and then go and sleep and just leave the child. No, it doesn't have to be that way. You must insist and use your parental control on even the social media. You are the parent of that child. Whatever that child browses there, at the end of the day, it's still coming back to the home. The side effect of whatever the child will browse is still going to come back to the whether good or bad. So parents should, rise up to the occasion and and be there for their children even when they are browsing online to be able to help them.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go on the short break and we'll be back. We'll talk more on child upbringing during social media. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is the conversation and we are speaking about the upbringing of a child with the use of the phone. So today we've been talking about the use of social media space with the child, how well it has been doing on them. We decide the effects and the implications on a child that is just growing up. Yes, ma'am. Let's continue. It is also said that many parents are not so responsible. So I'm talking now as a parent. They are not so responsible when it comes to the use of the phone. So how do you think you can, discipline a child on based the use of the phone? I know you've talked about parental guidance, but we have some not so responsible. You are talking like for the responsible people. So for those parents that are not so responsible, how do you think they can handle their child with the use of those phones?
When we were raising our children, there was no phone, So I would not want to blame them so much because right now some parents, just to pacify a child, they give them phone. A little child of 1 year or less than, they know how to operate phones. And it started out when the parent, maybe they are busy something, they are busy somewhere, they want to sleep and they don't want disturbance. They give their children phone to keep them busy. And from there, those children, they start getting used to the use of phone. So when they grow to a certain stage, they become addicted to using phone. Even children of less than 10 years. So I don't know how such parents are going to manage that kind of situation around them. When a child at the age of 10 is already addicted to the use of a telephone, how do you manage it? Well, I want to believe that at that point, you can begin to manage such a thing is to withdraw the phone from a child. Like you said, some parents don't just bother. They don't care. They go as far as going to the market, buying phone and giving to a child of 10, 15. We see children with phones.
Even less than.
Yes, we see children with phone. And the first thing they tell you is that, oh, okay, I'm not around. So my children, I want to be able to talk. But put only the SIM. You can put only the SIM now. Nobody says children cannot have phone in the house. I have a phone, an extra phone in the house, but it's to make call and give instructions. That's all. But the same parents will still buy data in those phones. and then the children will use it to browse. At the end of the day, so you are not helping that child academically, morally, spiritually. You are not helping that child. You are leaving a child to browse the entire world without constraint, without restraint, and without control. You can imagine what becomes such children. They become deviant in the society. And then who takes the blame? Is the parent. So if a parent is doing such a thing and he eventually finds out that, oh, this thing is doing, then perhaps they can take the phone. The first point is to take the phone away from the child, because that's the problem.
But you know, it's only a disciplined parent that can discipline a child. But the statement that you just mentioned, that if a friend find out that the child is not doing it, that's a disciplined one.
That's the one that's even choosing to find out.
Yes, but the one that
they take it that way and they say, okay, well, you know, it's please allow my son, allow my daughter. Is trend. That's what is trending. So allow them. But they don't always know what comes after, the implication that follows. Those children, a lot of them are those children we see in the society today, in the university, that turns out to become problem for schools. So I don't know what can be done at that level. Like I said, the only way, especially when the child is not yet fully grown, when the child is fully grown, what can you do? It's just to pray and probably talk to the child if the child can hear. Because at that level, the telephone thing has become part and parcel of that. You can't be withdrawing telephone from a child in the university now. He needs his phone. But then a lot of things had happened. Some character traits, you know, had been formed over time because of the use of that telephone that even the parents will not even be aware of. They won't even know until they now see some of those traits, you know, manifesting in the lives of those children. They're like, where did you learn this? Where did you learn? You gave them phone at such an early age. So everything they need to learn is in the phone. In fact, I don't know how true that story, I read it some 2-3 days ago online, of a boy in Europe who committed suicide. He learned how to commit suicide through AI.
Wow.
He's just, I think he was just 16 or so. He committed suicide by learning how to commit suicide through the AI, using AI.
Wow.
So you can see. We were talking about parental control from beginning. And then when a child is now ripe enough to own a phone, you sit the child down and educate that child on how to use a phone. You don't just, you know, give the phone because you've, okay, you're now matured. You teach the child the areas you don't tread and the areas you can, for your own benefit. This is, we as parents may not know all the sides. And that comes to mind again, that teach your children morals from beginning, so that it also extends to whatever it is they do, even when you are not there. Teach them morals, spiritual morals, things that will help them, so that when you as parents are not there, those children can take care of themselves. The things you have taught them will sustain them. They can now know the difference between what is bad from what is good. Then they can choose. That's it. They can now choose. But when all this, you know, there's so much to this thing we are discussing. It doesn't just start and end with a phone. You know, it starts and it begins from parenting from scratch. What did you put in that child? What exactly did you inculcate in your children growing up? That's what we speak for them when they have a phone. That's the basics. That's where it all starts. So if we are talking about a parent has given a child phone, where did it? How have those parents? How have they fed raising their children from scratch, from cradle? So these are some of the questions perhaps we need to ask again.
Okay. It is also said that too much attachment to phone causes some health implications on a child, especially a child that's just growing up. Just like the way you mentioned earlier that a parent give a small child a phone if he's throwing tantrums, so just to pacify the child. Quiet. For example, we all know toddlers do that a lot. So giving them that phone to watch cartoon, is it building up their brain in a positive way? Because according to research that we heard about, they said the earlier view of screen to a child is actually damaged the brain. And apart from that, it changed their thinking mindset to virtuous than seeing the reality of life, or seeing the practical aspect or the way they're supposed to see life in another side. So the research ends that we advise that you give them tasks during to keep them busy. If you want them to be busy with something, instead of putting them on virtuals phone, she give them tasks to something.
Other activities.
Yes, all these puzzle, other activities that it will charge up their brains. Than that. So, what do you think about the health implications of exposing to a child to virtuals, to phones earlier?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. What I see about that is it affects their mental health.
That's a good point.
It affects their mental health. When a child is exposed to screen for so long, imagine a child at age 5 is already exposed to screen and is growing up. One, it will affect their eyesight. Then, like I said, mental health. They will no longer be mentally balanced. Because most of the information they get, the opinion about life they get, is all from the social media. Nothing real is coming from the home front. So that child is not mentally balanced. And that's why you see, okay, like this, an example of the one I gave. Do you know how long that boy has been on social media? To the point where an AI could dictate to him how to take his own life. Where were his parents? So at that level, he has severed himself from his family. He has, built a wall around about himself, so that nobody seems to hear or know anything about him anymore. Till the final thing that everybody is now saying, oh, he died, he committed suicide. He must have even done it right where he is with his parents. So it actually affects their mental balance and, like I said, the eyesight and their overall well-being is affected. Because the normal norms and training we receive, from our homes, they're not exposed to it. Have you ever wondered what social media is doing to families? Not just even children, to families, where everybody seems to be doing their own thing. You enter your house, you pick your phone, you enter your space. Everybody has space in the house where you go coil, and then you just pick your phone, and that will be all for the day. There's no family bonding anymore. No bonding, nothing. Everybody's just, nobody cares about the next person anymore. It's now about you and your phone. So at that point, you see those children, they withdraw to themselves. The things ordinarily they should tell their parents, they will Google it. What they should have asked from their parents and get candid advice from their parents, they just Google it. And Google will tell them all sorts of things. And they will now pick the one that best suits them. And those things forms their opinion about life. And as they grow, you begin to see them acting in a different way. So it does really affect their mental health. It affects their eyesight. It affects their brain. It affects their entire well-being. So that's it.
Wow. So disadvantages of a phone goes a long way in child upbringing.
Span of effect upon them is usually very, very long. And it takes only God, to be able to help parents break, those barriers and bring their children back to them. Social media steals children away from parents.
No.
It steals their attention, it steals their loyalty, steals everything they have away from their parents. So that the parent will no longer have access to their children, even when their children are present before they are in their own house.
Yes.
Mentally, emotionally, everything, the child is gone. But that child will just be there. The presence of the child will just be in the house. But everything about that child, the parent may not even have any idea of what that child is capable of anymore. Because of the kind of thing they take in. They suck in from social media. You
can't even trust your child behavior
anymore. You don't know what that child is capable of because of the kind of things they're exposed to.
That's a deep one. So, we have some schools that run boarding schools, right? For those people in boarding schools, phone is essential to reach out because they are far away from home. So to reach out to their parents and the schools to reach out to their their parents, but which means phones will be allowed in their schools. I know there are some restrictions. Maybe you don't take it to school during school hours. You can use it during prep after schools. But what do you think the school administration to do to children that comes with phones or that uses phones in school's premises?
It is prohibited. That's the word. There's no. I don't think there's a.
But I just give you an example.
I know. It's a contraband in all schools except for some schools that just want to indulge children. It's a contraband in school. One, I remember when my daughter was in school, there was telephone, there was social media. But what they did in school is that they have a common telephone number they give to every parent. So from Friday, you can start making calls Friday you call, Saturday, and think Sunday, like that. So if you call on Friday, the line is busy, you can call. I mean, in every hostel, the porters, they are in custodian of that phone. So once you call, you tell them, please, can I speak to so and so in room so and so? Somebody will go and call your daughter, will come there and pick the phone, and you talk to your child. You understand? So phone is not allowed in school. Like I told you, at home is a distraction. What do you expect it to be in school? It will distract them even more. So the school authority thought it wise to have phone in every, with the porters in all the hostels. The male hostel, the female hostel, they have their porter with their phone on their desk. So when your parent call, they'll call you, you come and pick your call. So that was how we survived through that. And it was okay, we didn't complain. So having to give a child phone to take to school, it will not only distract that child, it's going to distract other children in that school. So I really think most schools, except for schools that want to indulge children, otherwise phone is prohibited in school.
So for schools that do that, so what advice will you give?
That's what I'm saying. They're indulging those children and they're not doing them good. They're not doing them good. Those children will not turn out as well as they expect, because phone is a distraction. Everybody knows phone is, even for adults, phone is a distraction. Don't talk of
Exactly.
children that cannot manage, their time properly.
Okay, so we've been talking about the effects of the phone, the consequences. But what's one major advantage as a phone giving a child when growing up, apart from communication aspects or open to learning, that we really do them good in their future?
Yes, what it does to them, for me, it broadens their horizon. It makes them think, better.
Okay.
It gives them more insight to issues. It makes them think faster. It even makes them think faster than their teachers. What their teachers can see, they can, because they have browsed them, perhaps they have more information, more access to some of those information that their teachers don't have access to. So it's good. Nobody is disputing the fact that going online, we are all gaining from it. We know what it does for us. So it's a good thing. We're just talking about parents should be on guard to control the children so that they don't go into sites that will bring bad behaviors to their children. That's just what we are saying. Otherwise, social media is beautiful. Somebody will say it is what you want to see. That's what you see on social media. What you determine to see is if you are going towards something that can benefit you, that gives you. Is it about health? Mention that thing that you want on social media that you don't find. Everything is there. Everything about life is there. And all the things that are bad that you can ever imagine is a two-word. So it's not depends on which one do you want your children exposed to. So when you expose them to the good side, based on your monitoring and your parental guidance, the child will learn well using social media. But you must guide that child. But if it's on the other side, and you just throw it open. And the tendency is that most children, they tend to veer off the good part and go to the bad part. Because those other sides, they tend to be more interesting. It more appeals to them.
So why is it that they always try to go to the...
it appeals to the flesh. It appeals to them. That's what appeals to them. Well, school and things about education is not pleasant. You discipline yourself to read. But the other side of it is effortless. Those sides just pop up and they just watch, and it's fun. It's fun and it appeals to them.
To go to the less stressful,
to pay more attention to the one that brings fun to them better than the other side that is more tasking. Yes. So they don't want that. So it is the parent that will determine, okay, this is the site I want you to browse. This is the area you go to. Don't go this way. Then when they are grown up, they can now balance the whole thing. They can learn to balance it. And like the other one you also said, parents should indulge their children also in more physical activities, things that will take their mind off phones. You can register them to learn to play games. They can play basketball, they can play football, they can do other sports, they can do other things that will develop their mind. Everything is not about social media. Our life is not tied completely, on social media. So they should give them that sense of, like you said, you mentioned that reality of life. Other things they can get themselves, like all these entrepreneurial skills, they can learn them, things that will keep them busy, other than to sit in the house and then they just browse from morning till night. Some children can browse from morning till night and night till daybreak.
Yeah, I
they
do that
will not
sometimes.
stop.
Yeah,
Children can do that. I mean, they won't blink their eyes, they won't sleep. So imagine there's no parental control. What can happen to such a child?
Exactly. Oh, so will you advocate stricter control by the government on the use of phone, or ruling out the government in the social media space?
Well, I wouldn't know what, how far the idea of censorship has been with social media. I wouldn't know, but it's good if they can regulate how it is used. Fine, because whatever it is the government is doing is to be able to raise, good citizens, people with sound mind. That's what I know. That would be their intention, to be able to raise citizens with moral upbringing. That's what they are looking at. So if they are looking at a situation where they can, ban some certain sites, which I know some countries do, there are some sites you cannot enter, no matter how much you try.
Yes, yeah, that's
but
true.
here it's like it's a free for all. So that's to tell you it is not yet been censored. Maybe until we get there, let parents do their job.
For now, so it will be more.
So let parents do their job. Yes,
wow.
Maybe until we get there, let parents do their job.
Okay. So lastly, as a mother, I know parents is both father and mother, but the children tends to mother a lot, or the mother are the ones that is always in care of the children. Yeah. So as a mother, what advice will you give the audience, our viewers, how to manage the children and the phone?
Like I use my own personal examples earlier, how for myself and my husband, and then for the parents, I will start with the parents. They should always agree. Whatever disciplinary measure you choose to take, whether to take the phone away and give them at intervals, or to give them the entire monitor, or whichever one that suits them.
Exactly, because if mommy say no, dad
so
can say yes
let
later
daddy and mommy speak with one voice, so that they will not have where to hide. The parents should speak with one voice. When you speak with one voice, children will have nowhere to hide apart from other than to obey. If they know that when mommy says, daddy will says the opposite, they will hide behind daddy and commit their crime. If they know that mommy will say no when daddy says yes, they will find a way to hide behind mommy. But when they see that both of them are saying no or yes at the same time, they know that they have no choice than to what? Obey. So that's where it starts. The parents should speak with one voice when it comes to raising children, whether social media or no social media. When it comes to raising children, they must agree. Because once the child, they are very, very good at observing. If they notice that one of them is tilting towards, being on their side in terms of, daddy is saying we should do this, and mommy is saying we should do the other side, and one, they will just go and hide behind one, and they will tend to love that one because that one, it suits them, whatever I hear. So that's the best way. Don't give them any safe haven. Let both parents agree on raising the children, and let father and mother agree as to this is the way we want to train them. This is the kind of censorship or monitoring or control we want to give. Like me and my husband, it was an agreement. No phone. We sat down, we just came and announced to them, no phone, no. Mom, no phone, sorry. You can't have phone until you're done with secondary school. And it became a law in the house. You won't get it from me. Neither will you get it from me. No way. And so they rested. So they were now waiting. God, let me finish my work and get a phone. That kind of a thing. Yeah. So everybody is working towards making good grades so that daddy and mommy can buy phone. I think that's better for us, safer for us. So every parent should find what works for them. They should find out what works for them and then agree together and then instill such discipline in the lives of those children. They'll be good. Okay,
so even as a mother, you should first have an agreement together.
Yes.
The mother can now push it forward or monitoring
exactly. The woman can be the one to announce it, but it's an agreement between the two of them. You understand? The woman can now be the one to, announce this is what we have agreed though. We will not have phone, but when you want to do your homework, come to us, we give to you, you do, and then give me back my phone. At the right time, you have your phone when you clear your papers. You understand? So that one will motivate them. See them, they're all they're thriving, they are reading. Because if you fail, you won't get to. So read hard and make sure you pass.
So then you pass.
And when you pass, you get. So that one, it helps them, it encourages them to read. And less of social media, more of their studies.
Exactly.
So that's just our own way. So a parent can adapt, what works for them. They can sit down together and think of a better way. So because every home is different, what works for me may not work for another home. But primarily, both parents, they should agree. That's where it starts. They must agree. It is when they agree, then they have a solid base, and they can launch out and then instruct the children. They have no other option. They will be.
Okay.
They will be.
Oh, thank you very much. I have a fantastic time with you.
Thank you so much.
I'm so grateful. You've given us a lot of insight and perspective. Like she said, social media is very important. It's an avenue to learn. You can learn anything on the internet. Information communication technology has brought a lot of advantage to our society. But despite that, if you are a child, it needs to be monitored. And if you are a parent, please ensure you monitor them for things. So thank you very much. I would love to thank our guests one more time. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your insight and perspective. And to our viewers, thank you for watching the conversation. And until next time, I'm Beatrice Okimalui. Goodbye.